The UK. I was never good enough for Formula One, so that's why I'm on the trip to you guys. But hopefully I'll be able to give you a good tour around with my colleagues. So say hello, say you're welcome.
Welcome everyone, my name is Hugo, I'm from Mexico City and also a race car driver of GTs and open wheelers. This time with my colleague here, Ed. This time with my colleague here, Ed, we're going to talk about the circuit, we're going to talk about the race, and we're going to talk about the cars. So, as we start this lap around the Circuito Autódromo Rodriguez, can you say that?
No.
No? Okay. Circuito Autódromo Rodriguez, we start with a 1 kilometer long straight where the cars can reach up to 360 kilometers per hour. And what is that speed really? How much are you covering at that speed?
Yeah, the distance you cover is absolutely crazy. By the time you get out of the last corner, get your foot on the throttle, by the time you've got on the radio to the engineers, you've had a little chat, you've changed some dials on the steering wheel, you've already arrived at the first corner. We've also got a DRS zone here as well, so drag reduction system, that's when the rear wing pops open when you're a second behind the car in front. The drivers get 2 green lights on the steering wheel. When they click DRS they get 4, and they also get a bleep in their headsets to tell them that they've got DRS available. So as you arrive down at this corner as well, it's super high speed, 360 kilometers an hour as you were saying. When you cover this much distance in a straight at that speed, it cools down your brakes. So when you actually arrive at this corner, the brakes aren't actually at the optimal temperature. So you see a lot of drivers locking up, making mistakes, running straight on, and that's one of the reasons we see that here.
Entonces, casi un kilómetro de recta, los coches llegan hasta 360 kilómetros por hora. A esa velocidad estás recorriendo una distancia de 3 campos de fútbol cada segundo. Entonces, se vuelve crítica la consistencia en la frenada. Los coches a esta altura, also the high altitude of Mexico City, where 2,300 kilos above the sea level, and how does that affect the speed of the car, but also the cooling of the car?
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. Has anyone gone to Dubai before? Anyone been in Dubai before?
Yeah,
okay, so the Burj Khalifa, imagine that 3 times on top of itself. That's how high up we are at the moment in Mexico City. So for the cars, the air's a lot thinner, so they really struggle with cooling. We saw today Mercedes, McLaren, all running Mercedes engines. They had some engine issues, all down to cooling and not being able to cool that engine down quick enough. They also, because the air is so thin, there's not a lot of aerodynamic grip, so they run the same amount of downforce here as they would do in Monaco. So that gives you an idea of what we're working with at such high altitude here.
Es una pista muy crítica, técnica, que tiene curvas muy rápidas, igual que secciones muy lentas. Y esto hace que los coches tengan que tener el kit aerodinámico que usan para Mónaco en una pista que es tan rápida como Monza. Entonces un reto ahí para también los equipos poner los coches a punto. And as we reach the first corner, on the breakers, you're a race car driver yourself, you know what is a G-force and how does that affect the body of the race car driver. So what is like 5 times? 5G.
Yeah, 5G is basically 5 times your body weight. That's what's pushing against you. So that's why you see the drivers got really, really strong and big necks. They look like really thick, massive necks. And that's just to hold your head up. But yeah, on the braking, you can come up to that 5G, which is a massive amount of force against the body. That's why the drivers train so much, they're well looked after. They've got physios, they're careful of what they eat, and always training, always in the gym, because that fitness is so important, especially on a circuit like this. You know, when you're doing a 2-hour-long Grand Prix, you burn a lot of calories, you're losing a lot of energy up. And you know, in this thin air, it's also hard to get enough oxygen into your body to keep you focused during the race.
La capacidad de frenar de los coches de Fórmula 1 permite llegar hasta 5 fuerzas G. Para una referencia de esto, si ustedes van al gimnasio el lunes y se ponen unas pesas en el cuello, se ponen 50 kilos en el cuello y tratan de levantarlo, eso es lo que los pilotos de Fórmula 1 tienen que vivir por las vueltas. Son 71 vueltas en este Gran Premio, 300 kilómetros y casi 2 horas de ese estrés físico. Now, second DRS line in here, we usually turn 4. We saw the most amount of overtakes last year in turn 4, and also we saw Lando Norris and Max Verstappen having a tussle right there, which ended up with Max Verstappen having an outstanding 30-second penalty. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that was interesting. I think Max lost his cool a little bit, and it just all boiled over through the next few sections. But that happened. This is what happens in Formula One, and they're at a very different point of the championship this year compared to last year. Okay, last year it was very close. This year, Lando and Oscar are a little bit ahead, and I think we've seen across the last few races, Max is driving chilled out Max Verstappen, and that's when he's his fastest, okay? He is unbelievable, he doesn't put a foot wrong, he's super fast, super committed, and the car seems to be in a window that he likes to use. So for him, it's a good opportunity to make places and enjoy.
And also this is a racetrack that suits Max Verstappen. It's been good for him, and for Red Bull. Entonces, esta es una pista en la que se puede competir, se puede luchar. Y lo vimos el año pasado en esta curva, la curva 4, es la zona de más rebases durante la carrera. Tuvimos también la pelea entre Lando Norris y Max Verstappen, que terminó con un penalti para Verstappen. Pero esta vez estamos en un punto del campeonato muy diferente. El año pasado el campeonato estaba mucho más cerrado y en esta ocasión estamos un poco más abierto, con menos presión para Verstappen, lo que le permite realmente empujar y buscar hacer la mayor cantidad de puntos como hemos visto alcanzando a los líderes. A very tricky section. The very fast section of the first, and then it's very slow, very tricky, and then you prepare yourself for the fastest section of the track.
Yeah, you do. This is very slow speed, really nice and smooth, nice and balanced on the throttle. And the modern day Formula 1 cars got about 1,000 brake horsepower now, and you've got no traction control. So when you get on the throttle, you've got to be like Carlos Sainz, you've got to be a smooth operator on the throttle. If you get on that throttle too hard, it looks really cool on the TV when you're doing a big slide. All it's doing is those tyres, destroying those tyres and causing you problems. So it's all about being smooth, leading off the throttle on the exit. So obviously you want to get the best exit you can, but also you need to really look after those tyres.
So, should we ask you about any McLaren fans? Do we have any McLaren fans in here? Any? Somewhere around there? Max Verstappen fans? Red Bull fans? Yeah? McLaren? Or Red Bull? Ferrari's actually pretty strong, and it was pretty strong in the free practice. I think Ferrari's also has a dynamic package that helps in this track. And last year, the winner of the Grand Prix was Carlos Sainz, followed by Charles Leclerc in third. So good chances for Ferrari.
Yeah, they always seem to go really well here. One of the reasons for that is you also probably see the Haas will do quite well as well. And the reason for that is they're both running Ferrari engines. The Ferrari engines here work well. They've got a super good cooling package. So basically they can keep that engine cool, they can run it quite aggressively, and then if you looked in the free practice 1 and free practice 2, the Ferraris will very quick in a straight line. So basically they can manage that engine temperature, they can look after that engine, and that gives them a really good benefit.
Of course, that's a different year for Ferrari. They're struggling, and Lewis Hamilton has been the first to struggle. So a tricky year for Ferrari, but we might see the only victory for Ferrari in Mexico.
We'll see, that'd be good, wouldn't it? It'd be great to see a Ferrari victory here. Maybe not for everyone, but I think it'd be brilliant to see. So we're coming into what is a super high speed and committed section here. Full attack, foot flat to the floor all the way through this section. And we're very lucky guys, we're nice and high up on this truck, okay, we're about 10 foot up in the air. In a Formula 1 car, your bum scraping along the floor. It's like sitting in the bathtub at home with your feet up on the tap. That's what it feels like in a driving position. So everything that we can see, they cannot. They can only see the front wheels looking into the distance, and everything comes up super quick. You're approaching a corner like this at 250, 260 kilometers an hour. They're a quick tap on the brake, off the brake, down a gear, back on the throttle, and they just carry that throttle all the way through here. So a really impressive place to watch Formula 1 cars, and it's amazing to see.
And this is a very particular corner because it's the end of the essence, and it has a negative camber, which really pushes you outside. So, and you just mentioned visibility. Drivers were complaining about visibility in the second practice with the sun glare, and the track is so flat. They don't have any depth.
Yeah, there's no depth in view, is there? It's very tricky to see what's coming up as such, especially in flat sections of the circuit. And you know, the sun is very strong here in the evening. It gets very low, and for a driver that's very hard. It's like being in your road car at home driving along and the sun's super low. It's so tricky to see things, and the glare. And it's one thing when you're doing 70 miles an hour, but when you're doing 190 miles an hour, that's a bit of a bigger problem. And that's why you see the drivers with different coloured visors. You get different tints on the visors, just like a pair of sunglasses, but some are stronger, some are weaker, some of them have a clear visor, and that's just all down to what the driver prefers and what they can see the best with.
And how about Mercedes? What do you think about Mercedes? They showed a solid pace in practice. We might see them showing some speed in the qualifying.
Mercedes this year haven't been amazingly quick, but they've always been there. So whenever they've been super consistent. So whenever there's been an opportunity for George to get a win or a podium, that's what they've done. Whenever there's been an opportunity for Kimi to get points, that's what he's done. So they've had a really good year, had a strong year, super consistent, always there picking up the pieces. They just signed George Russell again for next year. £30 million is his new contract deal. And then they've got very young Kimi Antonelli, who to let you into a little fact, Monza last year, that was when they actually signed him, because on that lap that he went off on, he was actually 3 or 4 tenths up in Lewis Hamilton in the same car, and all the engineers went, we need to have him. He's had a bit of a tricky European season. I found it really weird with Kimi. You know, all the tracks he's come to that he's never been to before, he's done a really good job. And then he's gone to the European tracks where he's done loads of mileage, and it's not really worked for him, or not really clicked, so he's getting stronger. Especially this last part of the season, we've suddenly seen a massive performance increase from Kimi. They've obviously understood the car a bit more, he's understanding, he's working very well with Bono, Lewis's ex-engineer, and yeah, they're going to have a good end to the season, I think.
Yeah, and as we reach the stallion section right now, a very special place to be in a Formula 1 track. No place like this in the rest of the world, you know?
No, nothing like this at all. So if you've got your phone on you, cameras on you, this is the perfect, most amazing opportunity to get a video. And actually, this is the only time across the whole weekend that you'll actually be able to hear us on the truck tour through here, because on Saturday and Sunday it goes absolutely crazy in here. It's one of the most amazing spectacles in Formula 1. If anyone from here is in the Paddock Club this weekend, in the Global Partner Suite, House 44 or Club Suite 3, you've got that amazing view out of there. And yeah, it's one of the most amazing places to pick Formula 1 cars for.
Y el Foro Sol, para los que están en la Ciudad de México, lo conocemos desde hace mucho tiempo, hemos estado en conciertos, hemos estado en carreras, y ahora es parte del mundo de la Fórmula 1, dándonos este espectáculo de estadio que es único en el calendario de la Fórmula 1.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and actually quite a tricky section. We see this curve over the right-hand side. You've got a lot of rubber marks on it already. That curve's very high, and in quali, when they're on a push lap, you can actually get the back of the car gets quite light on the exit as it bounces off the curve. Then you've got to really focus on slowing the car down. It's 90 right as you come out the back of the stadium. Then with the street circuit section through here, the walls are really close. You've got no room for error. We saw Valtteri Bottas have a massive accident out here a few years ago. And at this point here, you're low down, you're looking through the corner, and all you're trying to do is get your foot on that throttle. You're just trying to get that 1,000 brake horsepower down, get the slipstream on the car in front, get the run, and then hopefully you've got a really good overtaking opportunity into the first corner.
That is right, and as we just mentioned, this is one of the main areas to get a position, to get an overtake. So it is very important to get the car nice and early, and try to maximize your acceleration throughout the straight. And also, as we come out, how do you think pit stops will be, how critical will pit stops will be during the race?
Yeah, pit stops are the most important things in Formula 1. Always like to say, if you look into the garages, guys, you've got all the mechanics, staff members working on the cars, preparing them, rebuilding them, re-prepping them. The people that you see in those garages there, they're the 25 people that come out of the pit stop. F1 teams don't fly out a special team of pit stop people. These are the same guys that are working 13, 14-hour days, building the car, building the garage, and then they're entrusted with a multi-million-pound pit stop, and they're super competitive with it. And normally, every time we've got a pit lane walk on, they are always practicing their pit stops. So it's always amazing to watch, amazing to see, and an amazing spectacle. So we are now back at the end. Did everyone have a good time? Guys, that was terrible. I'm so disappointed. Did everyone have a good time?
Un aplauso, ya tengamos la vuelta del autor Rodríguez. Espero que hayan disfrutado.
Thank you so much. Please be very careful as you get off the lorry.